guys, we are going to finish working on the GTR where we left off. So I was lucky enough to finally have these show up from Japan. These are the HKS replacement of the mass airflow sensor, so you're not going to have all that obstruction through. So you got the wire mesh on the front and back restricting the airflow as well as the sensor in the center. So this will be a straight through design. So yeah, this looks really nice. It's all cast aluminum. It's going to match my hard intercooler piping from HKS. And this is going to be the big difference here. So just every little bit of less restricted airflow. This is just straight through. So I don't know what kind of horsepower difference it'll make. Maybe hopefully a little bit more response. Not having that obstruction in the airway. Must be where they pour like the aluminum into the mold would be my guess, because I don't see any reason for that to be there. Let's go ahead and get these attached to the epoxy intakes. Just wanted to clarify something with you guys. These mass airflow sensor deletes will only work if you have a aftermarket ECU. I'm running a Link G4 Plus. If you have a stock ECU, you cannot delete the mass airflow sensors. The car won't run without them. I've got the new Ohlins springs. So these all this stuff is from Right Hand Drive Japan. But this is going to be I think these are the 5 kg springs. So 11-50. And these are 7-40. But you can definitely tell that these are a thinner spring between the two. And I can actually squeeze these springs where these ones are a lot stiffer, and compared to the ones on the car, I can't even get them to flex at all by hand. So we'll throw those on here, and then we'll take the car for a test drive, start it up, see how these sound and how the car runs.
I don't have friends. I got family.
These don't really line up the best on against the housings of the epoxy. Like they look like they're a little crooked and stuff, but internally the way it matches up is perfect. The piping is dead on the center where they meet between here, so it'll be smooth airflow through. This is going to be perfect. This is going to be basically OEM plus. I think these things sound pretty awesome. What do you guys think? Let me know. I'm definitely happy with the fitment. These fit in really nice. They look good. The only issue that I kind of have is like the finish is different between the HKS hard intercooler piping and these mass airflow sensor delete piping, and it's different than the charge pipe, which is also different than the epoxy intake filter aluminum housing. So I'm gonna have to redo all this at some point. I'm not sure which color I want to do. I really like the look of the standard like aluminum finish on this, and I want to keep this silver because it looks it's going to keep it original to the way the RB26 came from the factory. But I'm thinking I want to change the aluminum here, and on the intercooler piping here and here. So let me know what you guys think I should do. I'm not sure if I should do like black here and do like a textured finish, so it will kind of look similar to like this all the way through, and do black here, here, and here, and here, and then do like a textured aluminum on this to match here or do black here. Let me know what you guys think. We definitely need to get some more finishing on this engine bay to get things dressed up and looking as good as the rest of the car. We do have the front of the car jacked up, and I've got the Ohlins coilovers removed from the front. Got the new springs sitting out here that are going to go on the front, and you can see there's a pretty big difference in thickness. So these are going to have a lot more capability when you hit a big bump for the spring to compress, allowing the Ohlins to actually soak up the bumps, because these springs are so stiff. I just feel like they're not really doing what they're designed to do. And I'm just trying to create the ultimate street and track Godzilla. That's the whole trick to doing the magic of what the road and track are supposed to do and give you that performance. So, and I didn't film taking these off because I've already installed these on the car before. If you want to watch that video, there's more in-depth information on how to do that. I had these, jacked the car up and took these off in like 15 minutes. It's not very hard. Let's go ahead and disassemble the tops off of them, swap the springs, we'll throw them in, do the rear, and then we'll take the car out for a drive. And in order to get access to get the Allen wrench inside here, you have to tighten the damper all the way down. These have about 2 millimeters of preload on them, so they're really not too hard to work off. And just break the spring free, it's just kind of stuck here. There we go. I'll get these all cleaned up and then I'll reassemble everything with this. Alright, I've got everything cleaned up, scrubbed down, and looking good. All the threading's clean of dirt and stuff, so when I'm tightening them down and preloading them, it's going to look really good. Here's a good comparison of the springs. So these were the 10 kg springs. These are now 5 kg springs. Those are the model number. And you can see the difference in thickness. These are quite a bit thinner compared to these, so it's going to allow a lot more flex. Let's start the reassembly. Alright, when you're installing these, there's the bearing sticks out a little more on this side. It's tapered to the larger side, which goes in. Look like that, and there's a little spacer adapter that goes in there as well. Show you guys this. You can see where the cleaner threading is there. I had to raise the front suspension up by about 12 millimeters, so that's a 48 millimeter gap just to kind of make up the difference with the softer springs, because the car sits lower because the suspension has more flex. Came with the spring rate chart from Ohlins. You can see the 2 springs we're using are basically right here. So we've got 200 millimeters in length, spring rate of 5 in the front, 4 in the rear. This is the model number. I've extended both the rear coilovers by 10 millimeters. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the preload on this. I'm going to go 2 full rotations, which is 3 millimeters. I'm doing a little bit more preload in the rear because the rear is softer, and I want to try to make a little bit bigger of a difference. There we go. So that's my 2 rotations. You guys have noticed this is going to be the rear passenger side. This is the rear driver's side. For some reason, I've always had to run it longer in order to get the ride height even. But these are all in and adjusted and everything, so let's go through them in the car. You can see my car. I'm working out on the street to get the rear ones done. Kind of feel like Samet working on his R33.4 that he used to work on in his apartment in Japan all the time.
Feel that I look after. Guys, it is nice and early.
All right, it's time to get these in. You can see they're off now. Let's get them installed. I'm starting to get a little worried because the sunset is happening probably in the next 15 minutes. I'm gonna run out of light and it's getting cold. All right, they're in. All right, passenger side is done. Everything's tightened down. Everything is good to go. Let's throw the wheels on and then take it for a drive. Well, we are done. We beat the sunset. And you can see this is the ride height here. So it's very similar to where I had it before. It's a little bit lower in the front, but the rears are basically almost maxed out to the max point, and I can probably bring these down like an extra 1/4 of an inch here. And the front's a lot closer, but closer to where it was before, so I think I like the front. We'll see how that does in the rear. I may re-lower it. Well, she is parked for the night. I'm gonna go ahead and end today's day, for me anyway, right now, because it's just too late and I gotta cook dinner for the kids. And I'll hop in the car here in the next few days and we'll take it for a test drive and you'll see it on the video here. To show you guys one of the biggest advantages of this softer spring rate is when you back off your driveway or over curbs. I used to get the wheel rock where one would pop off the ground and make the car kind of bounce around. You don't get that with the softer setup, which I like. All right, I've got my son set up here with the camera. We're going to test the suspension for you guys. I've got the dampener set on 10 front, 11 rear right now, and I'm driving in the gravel and it's not too bumpy. I'll shoot some videos so you guys can see where the car is at. Ready to go for a ride? But we're going to test this corner that the tires were hopping off the ground before and see how the car does. So it has like a little bit of where the tire lifts off the ground, but not where before, like I was losing all the traction. So it's still stiff, but it's not like ridiculously stiff like it was. Alright guys, so I've done quite a bit of driving in this car. I've driven it back and forth to work for 2 days, and I've had the springs set the exact same as what they were before on the old setup, 10 in the front, 11 in the rear, and I've got the ride height pretty much adjusted almost to where it was before. And the springs are definitely way softer. The car's a lot more enjoyable to drive, especially through town, hitting bumps and stuff. Before, the car would bounce so much that it would distract my ability to drive because I'd be focusing on how rough the bouncy ride was. But the biggest difference I noticed is just taking the car and getting into like the corners and stuff. You can feel the suspension actually lean and flex, and you can feel the car giving you some suspension feedback. Before, it was just so stiff, it was all basically just understeer. So I feel like I can get the tail a little bit more happy and get the car transitioning better through corners and stuff now. But I'm going to hit a few corners up here I'm gonna see what it feels like on 0, then I'm gonna turn it all the way back up to maximum stiffness and see what I think of it. But so far I'm happy with it. I can't take full credit for this because where I got the idea of doing softer springs, I've had these coilovers on the car for 2 years now, and I haven't really been happy with them ever since I've got them installed. It's just been too stiff. And so I kind of watching all the YouTube videos, Motive video, the Project GTR supercar. Those guys, Andrew, he kind of was having some of the same issues with the suspension being too stiff, and he's
Against many beliefs, stiffer might feel faster, but isn't always. Having the right spring rate and dampening allows the car to squat and dive for better traction and braking, and absorbs mid-corner bumps to keep the car planted. Stiff cars are not only uncomfortable, but generally handle worse on the road.
And he's running a custom team coilovers, and he did the same softer springs, 5 kg front, 4 kg rear. So he did a video where he was shooting around some corners and stuff like that, and he liked it. And I'm kind of feeling the same results, honestly. So I'd like to thank Andrew from Motive Video and those guys for getting me on the right track. But I just hated the setup the way it was before. So I turned up the dampeners, and I'm turning around here just for kind of the last little bit of the drive for today's video. Let's see how it feels around this corner. But the biggest difference, even with this thing maxed out, when I'd hit that corner before, I'd get a little tire lift in the rear, and I'm not getting that before. So at least I'm getting the chassis flex that I need, and I'm getting a softer ride, which I want, and I'm getting more feedback to the vehicle's handling dynamics around corners and apexes and braking and stuff like that. And kind of like what Andrew said too, when you get on the gas, you want a little bit more squat in the rear, so these softer springs are going to give you a little bit more squat, giving you better traction off the line on launches if I ever decide I want to do drag racing or something like that. But so this road's pretty bumpy, and it's still pretty soft even with them fully maxed out. You see me bouncing a little bit in the seat, but it's not as violent or uncomfortable as it was before. I do just kind of the last few shots of me going through corners at speed. I've had the car with this spring setup for about a week now, and I put about 200 miles on it, and with adjusting all the different damper settings, I prefer the ride quality to my driving style at 8 clicks front, 8 clicks rear, and I think it's the ultimate setup. Shoot through these corners, car feels great, and I'm really happy with it overall. See, this time when we hit the crest at the top of the hill, I'm maintaining full traction in the rear. I'm not getting the tire lift off, so I feel safe. The car feels planted. I don't feel like I'm going to spin out and crash. So I'm very happy with this setup. Hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I've got one other issue I'm dealing with here. If you guys can see the water pump, you can see that there's like dried up coolant on either side of it. So I've got a water leak, I believe, from the RTV, so we're gonna have to pull all this crap apart and reseal that. I've traced all the water lines and everything on the hoses and everything around the top end to make sure nothing's leaking down, and I can't find anything, so I'm suspecting that the RTV just didn't seal up properly, which really sucks because that's a lot of stuff that has to be taken apart in order to get to that. You guys, I had a lot of fun shooting this video. My son helped me. He was driving my Mazda 6 over there with the GoPro strapped on it a bunch of different ways. We were trying to do something we haven't done and get some car shots with the vehicle actually moving. Something I've never tried before, so hopefully it turned out okay. Hopefully you guys liked it, but I'm gonna celebrate. It's a nice sunny day. I'm gonna have myself a beer, and cheers. It's great. Share this with you guys too. I did get some new lights out here from the garage. New shop lights, 8,000 lumens, no, 6,000 lumens each. So like 12,000 lumens now in the garage versus 1,400 before between 2 bulbs. I'm happy with the suspension, guys. The thing is with suspension, you can't really take anybody's word for it because ultimately what it comes down to is your preferences as a driver. So what I like might be different than what you like and what you feel and what you experience when you're driving a car. To me, this setup feels good. I feel pretty happy with it. I'll play around with it more. Anyway, guys, hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate the all the new subscribers. I'm getting close to 1,700 now, so it's pretty exciting. The channel's doing pretty well, getting like over 50,000 views a month now. We're just 2 years ago, I was getting 500 views a month. So thank you, all you guys. We've done it together. Without you, it wouldn't be possible. So every little bit of revenue that I make with the YouTube channel, I'm going to reinvest back into the car and just try to grow the channel and share information that I have and work on my cars and do all that stuff and share with you guys. Anyway, like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.